All right, let's go ahead and try to solve this equation using a do-undo table. Now, do-undo tables are pretty helpful because it lets us understand exactly what's happening in each of the steps. So the first thing we do is we start with our variable. So we're going to solve for x. I'm going to say, okay, we start with x. And then what do? We look in the parentheses and we are going to add 5 to x. And then outside of the parentheses, which you'll notice is we have an exponent. And so we are going to square that answer of x plus 5. And then after that, what you'll notice we do is we divide by 2. So we are going to divide by 2. And once we do that and we divide by 2, our answer should be equal to 32. Okay, so now what we've done is we've worked in this direction. We worked down, we started with x, we've added 5, we squared, we divided by 2, and that will give us the answer of 32. Now the undo part is really just understanding the inverse and working backwards. So we're going to take 32, and now what are we going to do to it? We're not going to divide by 2. The opposite of divide by 2 is to multiply by 2. Okay, and then after we multiply by 2, we are going to get rid of the square. Well, how do we get rid of the square? The inverse is the square root. And then how do we get rid of that positive 5? We are going to subtract 5. Okay, and that should give us our answer of x. Okay, so let's go ahead and work it through off to the side so we can see exactly what those solutions are. So I'm going to take x plus 5 squared all over 2 equals to 32. And I'm going to follow all of the undo steps. So we take 32, and now we're going to multiply by 2. So let's multiply by 2. 32 times 2 is 64. Equals to x plus 5 squared. Now we're going to go to our next step, which is the square root. So we had to get rid of the square, so we're going to do the square root. So we take the square root of both sides. The square and the square root are inverses, so they undo each other. Okay, and that's going to leave us with x plus 5. And then we have to take the square root of 64, and we know that the square root of 64 is 8. But do remember that it is plus or minus 8 because you can have a positive 8 or negative 8 that gets you that total value of 64. Then the next step after that is to subtract 5. So let's go ahead and subtract 5. Okay, and when we write this out, what we are going to do is we're going to write x equals to 5 minus 5 cancels, and we get negative 5 plus or minus 8. Now, the tricky thing about this statement is because it's a square root, there's two statements here. There is the negative 5 plus 8, and there's the negative 5 minus 8. So there's the over the top answer, and there's the one that comes from going underneath the bottom. So now we just write those two answers out. Negative 5 plus 8 is 3, and negative 5 minus 8 is negative 13. All right, I hope that helps you understand that do-undo table and solving when there are squares involved.